welcome to the main October Positive Images Festival Poetry Workshop. These used to take place at Coventry Library, but now they're available to everyone online thanks to Positive Images for their continued support and funding of them. And thank you to you for watching and for the lovely comments that you send me, and for giving the activities a go and embracing them. If you want to support and you already haven't in this way, it would be great if you could press that subscribe button, because it means the video is going to get seen by more people, and it means that you'll be able to go onto your YouTube and see that these have been recommended. So you might get, if you're interested in poetry stuff, you can see what other videos that I've got on the channel. If you like poetry from different cultures, or you like looking at different types of poetry and forms, then definitely check out the We Speak Poetry playlist. You might have just heard a guinea pig sneeze then, because they do feature, usually accidentally, in the background of the videos. Okay, thank you again, and we'll kick straight off with activity 1. Now, never say you can't learn anything from young people, because I've certainly been reminded of that again this week. I also do different workshops for different organisations, and one that I do is with some really lovely teenagers, very excellent writers, and one of them this week has introduced me to a new poet who really I probably should have heard of, because he's clearly quite famous, but I hadn't. And if you don't know, then you don't know till someone tells you or you find it. So I'm going to also pass on this favour and introduce you to the new poet if you haven't heard of them. So we're going to have a look at some poetry by Rabindranath Tagore, who was a Bengali polymath poet, really intelligent, in so many areas. He was a poet, a writer, a composer, a philosopher, a painter, and I've spent now several hours going through his poems on YouTube since this young person told me about his work. In 1913 he became the first non-European, as well as the first lyricist, to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, and he's sometimes referred to as the Bard of Bengal. So that's Rabindranath Tagore, and we'll look at 2 poems. So the first one is called Crossing. That came from a collection of 74 poems, and this was number 16. You came to my door in the dawn and sang. It angered me to be awakened from sleep, and you went away unheeded. You came in the noon and asked for water. It vexed me in my work, and you were sent away with reproaches. You came in the evening with your flaming torches. You seemed to me like a terror, and I shut my door. Now in the midnight, I sit alone in my lampless room and call you back, whom I turned away in insult. If you look this poem up, so it's called Crossing 16, and Tagore's got a really big page on the Poetry Archive, which is where I get a lot of these poems from. So I like to use ones that are available on the internet. Then search out on there. There's so many for you to go over and discover. It's almost looks on the page like a prose poem. You know, it's got really long lines, and these ones are set into couplets, but they're very long lines. And that sort of fits in with his work, is that he was a bit of a revolutionary and moved away from the traditional forms. He didn't want those restrictions. So from what I've seen, quite a few of the poems take these forms with the long lines and the almost prosaic look to them. So another one that I would like to read you from the same poet is called The Gardener. That was again the name of the collection, The Gardener, and this is The Gardener 85. So it was the last in the collection of 85 poems. And don't forget, these have been translated from the original Bengali. Who are you, reader, reading my poems 100 years hence? I cannot send you one single flower from this wealth of spring, one single streak of gold from yonder clouds. Open your doors and look abroad. From your blossoming garden, gather fragrant memories of the vanished flowers of 100 years before. In the joy of your heart, may you feel the living joy that sang one spring morning, sending its glad voice across 100 years. And I like that one each time I read it. And it is over 100 years now, I think, since he would have, it's over 100 years since he wrote that. So he's sending it us from across the ages, and that spring day 100 years ago made those words that have blossomed again for us at this time. And it made me think, what activity could we do? So I've got a challenge for you. And your challenge is to address a reader 100 years from now. So in your poem, speak to somebody who's going to pick it up or see it on the internet or however it's going to work then, because I'm sure that Tagore wouldn't even have imagined that his poems would have been on an internet, because obviously it wasn't there. But imagine 100 years from now somebody's reading your work. What message would you like to pass on to them? And the theme in a lot of his work is he did tend to write maybe aimed at a particular female or a character, but the idea of this love and the beauty of nature can also be considered, to go across time, across borders, across countries. So his work is really beautiful and sort of spiritual in that way, and I very much enjoy it. Little sort of like warning, if you like. Remember, he wrote this a long time ago, and of course it's been translated. So some of the language in these older poems that I use is what we call archaic, and I used the term before, I think, in these workshops. So you've got Old English, which is the one we basically can't read because all the vowel sounds have changed so much. So that will be sort of pre-1500, and after that time, we've got archaic language, which is like, Shakespeare. We can understand most of it, but we probably want to go and check the synopsis. Or, even something written 150 years ago. It will use words that we won't use now. And there's a lot of examples of that. Obviously, the closer it gets to being to this time, the easier it is to understand and the more modern it will feel. And that feels fairly modern, it's like I say, it's 100 years ago. But there's still a few little phrases and words we wouldn't use in that now. We probably wouldn't, we wouldn't say yonder clouds. I've never had a conversation with my friends and talked about yonder clouds. So personally, again, personal preference, there's no rules in poetry, but I would suggest don't use archaic language in poems unless that's like fully your intention, because it will make them feel outdated. So stick to the language we use, because the poets who wrote these hundreds of years ago, that was the language of the time. It's the language they were using. We probably, my preference is to do that now and write in the language that we use now, rather than, having thou and thee and things in poems. So I will leave you to do your challenge. Address your reader in 100 years' time. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. Think about how they're reading it, and think about maybe one message that you would like to get across to them. Okay, have fun. I'll see you in the next section. Okay, I hope you had fun writing your poem for your reader from 100 years' time. We've got some other exciting stuff coming up in our time together, and I'm just hurriedly working through my sheets to find out what I was supposed to say that was going to be. So we have got a final reminder about the upcoming Positive Images Festival Poetry Competition, and I've got an exciting timed poetry challenge which is coming up now, so stick with me. This is a bit different I like to stick in a different activity, out of one of the 3 activities that I usually put in. And I've done this in workshops before. I've never done this on a video. So you are going to need to do this in time with the video. I quite often say, pause the video, take as long as you want. Not for this one. Don't pause the video, stick with me. We're going to do a free write, basically. And I'm sure many of you will have heard that term before. But if you haven't, it basically means you start writing and you don't stop until I tell you to. Or until your time runs out, whichever way you want to do it. So I find activities like this really useful because especially if I've been struggling for creativity, I've got a lot of other stuff going on in my head, and I think that needs to be done before I can be creative. This is your chance for 12 minutes to be creative and to forget that other stuff and to just let whatever is blocking up the poetry or whatever is in there to just pour out. So like I said, we're going to have 12 minutes on this. I think that's a nice amount of time. Just keep going. Don't stop writing. You start writing, even if it makes no sense, even if you're just putting random words down, you start writing. That's the rules. Don't worry about how good it is. Don't go back and edit. Just keep writing. Have I hammered that home enough now? I think so. So earlier today I used an online random dictionary because I do love a good random word finder, and I've got 5 random words. I'm going to throw them out every couple of minutes while you're writing, and you need to include those into your writing. Easy, right? Okay, so at 2-minute intervals you're going to get a new word. So pen and paper at the ready, or phone or laptop or whatever else you use to write on. Your first word that you're going to start off with is find, F-I-N-D. Go. I'm going to stick around here and time 2 minutes. And I'll probably put like a nice image up because otherwise it's a bit weird if I'm stood watching you write. It is for me anyway. Find, go. Okay, your next word that you've now got to fit into your writing could be a poem, you could just be writing words, you could just be writing prose, any of that is fine. Your next word that you're fitting in is flat, F-L-A-T. The important thing is keep writing, flat, F-A-L-T. No, F-L-A-T. Sorry, dyslexic. Whoopsie. Okay, next word for you to slip into your writing is decade. D-E-C-A-D-E, decade. Okay, next word. Sleepy. S-L-E-E-P-Y, sleepy. You can change the tense of these, it's fine. Just slip that sort of word in somewhere. Your next word is, it's your last word as well, neutral. N-E-U-T-R-A-L, neutral. See if you can use these in interesting ways or as part of metaphors or something. You don't have to just slot them straight in. Okay, that was 2 minutes. Now I'm going to give you an extra 3 minutes to just finish off, because if you're writing a poem or if you've been writing a bit of a story or a narrative, you're going to need this time to finish it. Also, if you missed any of the words, then now's your chance to fit them in. So we had find, flat, decade, sleepy and neutral, and now you have got 3 minutes left to finish off this free write. The important thing is, do not stop writing. Don't go over and edit it. Keep going, keep going. Okay, and stop. So I have no idea how this will have worked. You can let me know underneath whether you found it useful or not, because it's totally different doing it in a room with people to me just doing this over the video. If you're still with me and you took part in the activity, then well done. You've done amazingly, and hopefully that helped release some of your creativity. There was a few noises going on in the background, certainly in my house, so well done for still concentrating. I have got you a little friend that wants to say well done as well. So this is Lara. Lara doesn't usually get the attention because it's usually the guinea pigs are a bit noisier. Lara's a Syrian hamster, and she's come out to say well done because you've done a great job. Lara's a bit crazy. She likes to hang upside down in her hamster mansion and things. She's come out because you were awesome and you kept writing, and we will head over to the next activity. So hopefully in that last activity you found that you'd either created a story or a poem that you can now go away and edit, or worst case, you know, there was hopefully a couple of good lines in there that you can take and use and have a play with in the future as well. So often these activities aren't wasted. I have got one of our best practice quotes for you, and I went to a really good session yesterday with poet Anthony Anaxagorou, who's a British born Cypriot writer. His most recent collection from 2019 is After the Formalities, which I can highly recommend, and he's also he works with the publisher Outspoken Press. So his latest book, which I'm very excited because my copy is due to arrive any day now, is called How to Write It, which you can order now. So he said a lot of really useful things in this session, and it's great to hear it from somebody who is like a top class poet, but also comes across as really genuine and passionate about poetry and it being for everyone, which is lovely. So this is the the direct quote that I took from the session, not to be found anywhere on the internet. And he said, "All poems are experiments." And I really like that way of thinking. I thought, because it takes the pressure off, really. It doesn't need to be a masterpiece. It's an experiment, but with the sort of like playing and having fun with poetry. You know, occasionally you do create something that you're really pleased with, or that's really good and that you can send off somewhere. So try new things and have fun with them. Anthony Anaxagorou says, all poems are experiments. So, Laura's had her chocolate drops. The guinea pigs are still running around even though I fed them to try and keep them quiet before we did this video. But apart from that, I think we're good to go. I'd like to introduce you to a different type of poetry form. Before I do that, actually, I was holding this book, so it's a bit cheeky, but I was going to plug this anthology that I'm in, because I haven't done that on here yet, so I hope you don't mind. But I'm really, really pleased with this one. It's wonderful to be a part of. It's called Bloody Amazing, and on the back we've got exciting, brilliantness quotes from Jenny Eclair and from Deborah Alma, who you may well know. And it's just a really interesting collection. It's, breaking boundaries, breaking taboos, about women, anybody who bleeds, people who don't, menstruation, the menopause. It's just, I have never been to a book launch and nearly cried, but this one, very fun, very emotional. So I can recommend it if you're interested. And obviously I've got a little poem in there as well, which you might be interested in reading. But that is available online now. Moving on back to your poetry activity, Tricube poems. So something I've come across recently, great fun to have a go at. The invention of the Tricube is credited to a poet called Philip Larrea. Every time. Philip Larrea. I'll put the name up there so you can actually see what it's supposed to look like. Who's the author of We Are the People and of Our Patch. Since 2012, his poems have appeared in over 60 journals, anthologies and magazines in the US, Ireland, Canada and Asia. Now, he has got poems that are available online. Despite being the creator of the Tricube, I actually couldn't find any of those that were I was okay to use. So have a Google of him, and if you find any, do tell me. So we're going to look at some other examples that people have written inspired by his original idea. 3 rules, which is beautiful because it's a Tricube. And if you are more of a logical thinker and you like your mathematics and poetry, this one is for you. So 3 rules for a Tricube. Each line contains 3 syllables. Each stanza contains 3 lines. And each poem contains 3 stanzas. So 3 syllables, 3 lines, 3 stanzas. Easy, right? This is one that I found on, it's gone over 2 pages, it's not good. Okay, right, here we go. This is one that I found on susantiago.com. So it's where she puts her poems. She's a teacher. In fact, I've got her bio here, which I thought was really nice. She's been drawn to books since watching her grandfather run his letterpress and following her oldest sister to work at the library. From library volunteer to teacher to writer, Sue is always looking for ways to connect others to good stories. And I've just put a little note to self. Great website, and it is a great website. So susantiago.com. She's got stuff for writers, a bit of blogs, and her own poems. Which of this is one of them. And if you put those words into in a different order, it makes a complete sentence. Okay, of which this is one of them. This is called First Day. This is for parents or teachers or anyone who can relate to this. Carers, guardians. First day. Pencils sharp, clothes sorted, haircuts trimmed. dawdling girl, excited boy, watchful pups, quiet house, time to write, mother torn. And it was one of those ones that's so simple, but then, pulls at the heartstrings at the end. She's been wanting this time to write, and then they're left, and actually it's not quite the same. So I'll just go through that one again, because new form and things, well, unless I just haven't heard of it, and I should have done, but it was new to me. So we've got pencils sharp, clothes sorted, hair cut, trimmed. So you've got 3 lines, each of those was on a separate line in that stanza, and each of those lines had 3 syllables, and that format is repeated for 3 stanzas. I hope I'm not saying that too often, it's just I take ages for things to go in, so I treat everyone the same as me, which is probably not fair. So your activity, surprise surprise, is to have a go at a Tricube. You might want to have a go at more than one Tricube because they seem quite good fun, but another one of those things that's harder than it looks, squeezing them into those small syllables, small lines, and with very few syllables. So have a go at a Tricube. Again, if you want to post them in the comments here so other people can see your poems, feel free to do so. That would be really lovely. Before we go, and before I set you off on your merry way with that activity, I would love to give one final plug, because it is open until midnight on the 31st of October, our annual Positive Images Festival Poetry Competition. If you're watching this in the future, it will still be open each year until at the end of October. So have a look on our website and check out Positive Images Festival Poetry Competition. So the basic info is you can send up to 3 poems, no more than 40 lines. That doesn't include the title or space, or line spaces. It's just so that I don't have to read any epics, and neither do my fellow judges. Entries need to be emailed to positiveimagesfest@yahoo.com, along with your full name, your name as you would like it to appear in print if this is different, your address and telephone number. And we're having a Zoom party where we're going to get people to read out, and I know we've had entries, I don't know who's entered, but I've been told we've had entries from all over the world, so I'm thrilled. Like, actually, we've covered off several different continents here. Although I don't think we've had one from Antarctica yet, so if you're living there, this could be your time to shine. So if you know someone who wants to enter but they don't have internet access, just get in touch with me, put a comment at the bottom of this video and I'll give you my email address, because we still want to be able to make sure that everyone who wants to can enter. But yeah, we're having this Zoom event which you're all welcome to on the 21st of November in the afternoon, and it's going to be really good fun, and we'll announce the winners, and we'll also let you know if your poem's going to be included in the booklet, and lots of the poems that are entered into the competition will be included in the booklet. It's really beautiful. It has been every other year anyway, so I'm sure it will be again. And that's me done. So thank you so much for sticking with me if you're still here, and I hope it's useful, I hope it's fun. Keep writing and keep experimenting and playing with words. So I will see you the next session, which it's going to be online, isn't it? There's no point me even saying it anymore. It will be online on Sunday the 29th of November 2020. So from Coventry, which is now in Tier 2, take care, over and out. you.